Hi everybody, Stewart A. Swerdlow.
And Janet Swerdlow.
And this is the Expansions News Podcast for the second week of February 2015.
Well, I can't believe how it's just zipping by. Every month zips by.
I know, pretty soon it's going to be Valentine's Day. Are you getting me anything?
I already got you something.
What?
Remember?
Oh, but that's not like anything really...
Oh, you can't talk about it?
No, it's like she got me a pink mankini, which I will wear on the next podcast for you. Unless there's a big uproar about that.
Well, of course, sometimes you might even wear snow shoveling.
Or I might just hold a shovel at a strategic location in front of me and nothing else.
And say you're wearing the pink mankini.
Yes, my skin looks nice and pink.
Yeah. Actually, it's a half pink mankini.
Yeah. But okay, on to that. Very serious news, actually. I don't have that much, but I know you have a lot.
I have some really good stories.
I know, which you probably stole from me. But on the global front, the Jordanians have started bombing ISIS in Syria in retaliation for the cruel and brutal burning of their pilot. Did you see that video?
I did not see the video. I saw the picture.
Absolutely horrendous. I unfortunately watched it, and I can't get that image out of my mind, and it was pretty horrible. But the interesting thing is the Jordanians are bombing Syria, but U.S. aircraft are flying alongside them. So it's like, come, we'll hold your hand while you drop the bombs or something like that. I don't know why they need that. But what's even more interesting is that Jordan is uniting intelligence information with the Israelis, who are providing the coordinates and the information of where.
It's just amazing how the Israelis are involved in everything.
Yeah, they are all over the place, aren't they?
They are.
In fact, there's information that they may even be in Ukraine.
Really? I haven't heard that one yet.
Oh yes. Back in December, the United Arab Emirates was involved in the coalition bombing of Syria, but then after the Jordanian pilot was captured, they said it's too far for anyone to be saved if they're captured, so they stopped the bombing, but now they've joined with the Jordanians.
Didn't Obama make a...
I'm about to... Will you stop reading my notes?
I didn't look at your notes. I have ESP. I'm psychic.
Yeah, I could tell you what that stands for, but it's not what you think.
No?
Anyway, Obama was on the news this week, and he refuses to call ISIS a terrorist organization.
Really?
He calls them an organization. And so that's because he knows the government created them. And he says in his lecture or speech there that, you know, why are we so angry at the Muslims when Christians were also just as brutal in the past, bringing up the Crusades, the Inquisition.
Really?
Even
he said all this?
Yes.
And this is exactly what you've been telling people.
And even slavery in the United States. So Americans were also evil.
Yes.
Yes.
And he's comparing this to that?
Yes, but Mr. Obama, there's a little bit of a difference. Not that I want to be religious or anything, but in the Bible, in the Christian Bible, Jesus never says to kill people or take slaves. But in the Quran, on many occasions, Muhammad says to kill the infidels and to chop their heads off and to rape the women and sell them into slavery.
But now let me
So that's a little bit of a difference.
Well, what about now in the Jewish religion? Does it come from the Bible when the Orthodox say that if you're a goyim, that you're basically...
Well, not human.
Right.
Yeah.
So therefore you can be killed and raped and whatever too, and used as slavery.
That's a very good point, Missy. Well, maybe you should be giving this
Well, I'm just curious why. Because, I mean, there's got to be somewhere in there.
I know. So you know what I say?
What?
Screw all religions.
I agree.
And just don't believe in any of that stuff. You believe in God, but not religion.
Right. And that's what we tell people. We are the same religion as God.
That's correct. In fact, we meet with him regularly. Now, on to more American, or I should say Hollywood news, which I find a little bit fascinating.
Well, I think this is all tied in.
Well, okay, I'll let you give your opinion. Bruce Jenner, the very well-known former Olympian and father of the Kardashians, is becoming a woman.
Which I did report on a couple weeks ago.
And you remember I had said over weeks and weeks, I said, you know, he looks like a woman these days.
Well, remember I report on was wearing red fingernail polish one day.
So my question is this: why would a 65-year-old man who's a father and a grandfather and was an Olympian want to now become a woman? I don't get it. But just the other day, he killed his neighbor by crashing his Escalade into her car, her Lexus, which then flew into a Hummer and killed her. Now, to me, and it was all caught on video, which is interesting, so I think this was a ritualistic slaying in honor of his sex change, which becomes more androgynous. It's a reptilian ritual sacrifice.
Now, do you know the name of the neighbor? Did we get that yet?
I didn't write it down.
Okay, I'm just curious if that was had any meaning.
But that's a good idea.
But I do think...
But you know how old she was?
How old?
69. That's a ritualistic
Yes, it
number.
is.
Yeah.
And the other thing is the Hummer. What does that mean in England?
Yes, do you want me to say that?
Well, maybe not everybody knows.
Well,
I have to say stuff. You should have to say stuff.
A Hummer is a male organ.
That is erect.
Yes.
And so,
And
the
actually,
phallic symbol killed the woman.
yes. But,
Or
you know,
absorbed her. That's why I said it would be nice to know what her name was.
I want to know why you think so twistedly like
It's
this.
not twistedly.
Everybody thinks you're so nice and innocent and everything. You come up with this stuff.
I untwist things for people.
Yeah, maybe you can untwist somebody's Hummer. Anyway,
If
going
it
on.
needs untwisting,
You would do it, eh? Maybe that should be an expansion's
Service.
Yeah, exactly. Janet's untwisting your Hummer. And then I shall shove a creeper up your trellis. Now, more Hollywood news, which actually it's not Hollywood, it's Atlanta news, but it's very sad. Whitney Houston's daughter,
yes.
Bobby Christina,
yes.
was found face down in the bathtub almost a year after her mother was found in the same way.
I thought it was 2 years maybe.
No, it was, actually you're right, it was in 2012 because I was leaving for New York that day and that's when it happened. And we had like 30 inches of snow that day, I remember. Anyway, I thought it was odd that they said when they found her, her brain was swelling. And I knew that had to be some kind of a head injury. And now they're saying that it looks like she was injured somehow. And maybe it wasn't the drugs, but someone tried to kill her.
Yeah.
And she had mentioned to a very close friend of hers recently that her family was out to get her money.
Well, you know, she could have been a bit paranoid, but the thing is that if there's two, then you know what happens. It means there has to be a third. Not that I'm wishing it, but we just need to keep our eyes open because, again,
called Grandma?
it could be some kind of a ritual. Well, yeah, just a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
Well, in a way, think of the last name Brown. You know, Brown means present in hyperspace. And also takes me back to what they're doing to Bill Cosby. Because this has to do with, you know, the black people. And in my opinion, it has to do more with racially dividing people eventually. I mean, I don't know that I know the whole story yet, but I think it will come out and we will know.
Okay. Well, now you can go ahead with your
I can. I have
fascinating news.
I have fascinating news. So much fascinating news. I'm going to actually skim through them. If you want details, you're going to have to go to the YouTube channel where we post the links. But anyway, there is a 2000 Pentagon study just released that Russian President Vladimir Putin has Asperger's syndrome.
Now, don't say anything about my Putin, that's when I loses it.
Yeah, well, Putin, as you know, I say is a descendant of Rasputin, which would make sense to me that he has Asperger's syndrome, which sometimes has to do with inbreeding.
Well, some people might say that only the first syllable is what he is.
I know, I knew you were going to bring that one out. Anyway, there was a report written by Brenda Connors, who is an expert in movement pattern analysis, who works at the U.S. Naval War College. Who knew that they had movement pattern analysis?
I knew there was a Naval War College.
Well, yeah, we knew that.
We did?
Yeah, we did.
Did you go there?
No, but I know a lot of
Maybe you
things.
can untwist their Hummers.
Anyway, she says that Putin's movements show he carries a neurological abnormality that is the same as Asperger's syndrome. And they said that they can't confirm this because they have not done a brain scan on him. But this means he has difficulty in social interaction and nonverbal communication.
I see, this is where I disagree. He was in charge of Soviet KGB espionage in Eastern Germany for a long time. You can't do that if you have Asperger's syndrome.
Well, I'm just telling you what they said because I thought that was interesting. And of course, it's a 2008 report. They always wait for a few years to pass before they release these things. And then, this ties right in with what we've been telling everybody, that the U.S. Ebola mission in Liberia is going to end.
That's because there is no Ebola.
That's right, and that's what we've been telling people. And we've said, what happened to it? It disappeared. Well, now we have an official ending to it. Apparently, it's going to end next month. This is what Fox News is reporting. And apparently they're saying that infection rates, surprise, surprise, in the West African region are now near zero.
Right, and just a few months ago they said by January it'd be in the hundreds of thousands.
That's right. And they said they had 3,000 troops in the area. Now they're going to fall to 1,300. There's that number, 1,300 this week, and then decline further.
Yeah, so let me translate. They did whatever they had to do
Exactly.
under the covert operation of Ebola,
Yes.
and now they don't need to use that as an excuse anymore.
Exactly, which we reported on when it was first up. Who was it? Remember there was a black leader who was saying why they were putting troops in the ground? Was that Sharpton?
I don't know.
I can't remember which one it was. We did report on that, and they were saying it was to get the diamond miners back to work, and there were a lot of things going on there.
And plus, the friends I have in West Africa told me there is no Ebola. They don't even know about it there.
They said the outbreak killed thousands in Liberia, but the infection rate has since plummeted, and it's all a bunch of
Yeah, and then
of
they'll come up with a new one somewhere else.
They'll do something. They're trying to, again, instill fear in people. And this one is just a brief mention, but I think it's worth mentioning about Jeb Bush. Everybody loves Jeb Bush, right? He now has come out and said publicly that he smoked marijuana.
Oh, what a shock.
And that he was a bully.
He still is.
And his mother says that Jeb is too honest and tells too much.
Right, because I trust everything she says.
So apparently I think he's setting himself up because he's, this is now the cool thing is to be able to smoke marijuana, and he wants to get the vote.
So he'll get all the pothead votes.
Yeah,
right.
Or at least, of course, we know the votes really don't count, but the support, so he won't, quote unquote, be overthrown.
And of course, he was the governor of Florida,
Yeah.
and we all know what Florida's like.
Right, exactly. Now, Ferguson, Missouri, of course, that was where we had the death of Michael Brown. Again, here's the name, Michael Brown, right? Here we talked about the Bobby Christina Brown. All of these people. This was Michael Brown. Now they're saying in Ferguson that they're testing a new device that attaches to a hand barrel and is designed to turn a bullet into a projectile intended to stun but not kill. Now, I thought that's what the taser thing was. But in my opinion, anyway, I've always thought, why do they have to kill people? Why don't they have stun guns?
Well, that's what they had on Star Trek. Phasers on stun.
But so now they're going to turn their handguns into stun but not kill. So again, to me, it's something that should have been done a long time ago. It's just silly to me that they kill people with deadly force rather than stun
I think they shouldn't kill people at all.
Well, right, that's my point. If they want to stop you, stun you, why do they have to pump you full of lead? It doesn't make sense to me, and it never has.
Yeah, like when I'm bad, you stun me.
You
you
like
don't
that.
Kill me.
No, and you lay there and you're very cooperative, and then I can tell you what
until the electricity leaves my body.
Right, so that, they
and
can
then
do
you have to
this.
untwist my Hummer.
Well, but you like that part of it. That's why you are bad, then I have to
I
stun
purposely
you.
do that. I purposely,
and then we have to get on to the next phase.
It's true.
It's just what it is. What can we say?
Secrets.
Yeah. Don't keep telling our secrets.
You are.
You are telling our secrets. Now, did you know that there are mysterious booms in Kansas City? Have you heard about those?
I hear mysterious booms in other places.
Yeah, that's because I'm tasering you, dear. Do you like, or stunning you, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, it says that apparently these sounds have been going on for the last few months, and one person even said it sounded like a fairly substantial Class B firework, which is a lot bigger than what you sell at fireworks stands. So the local stations have been digging into the source of the booms. They can't figure it out. However, AccuWeather, and here's a word for you, which I'll let you peek.
Cryocycism.
Yeah. AccuWeather says that that's a natural phenomenon caused from a sudden deep freezing of the ground.
Right, except it started when it was warm out.
Which then causes the ground to crack, creating the noise. So they're saying it's like if you have a bottle filled with water, and when it bursts open, it cracks, and so now they're calling these frost quakes.
Well, we had that here last. Remember the frost quakes that they said we had?
Claim, but I don't know. But we know what's going on underneath that area. I mean, that's that fault line down there.
Well, not in Kansas City.
But it's going to be affected.
Well, but those booms have been happening in Virginia and Florida and other places, so they're just digging something underground.
That's what you think?
I know so.
All right. So how about the mysterious milky rain? Did you hear about that?
Yes, I found an answer.
You did? What was it?
Yes, it was on the news.
Oh, they did? What did they say it was?
Well, I don't want to upstage you.
Well, you go ahead upstage me.
They said it came from ash from a Japanese volcano.
No, that's what they're saying. No. That's a good thing I told you so I can say, no, you're wrong. Listen to this. They're claiming that it might be volcano ash, or it could be from wildfires, or it could be from dust picked up from last night's strong winds. They're going on and on and on. However, they're saying on the bottom line is they don't know what it is, And so they're looking at satellites and running computer models backwards so that they hope to find the source. So they don't know, they're only guessing. But it went through Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. And they're asking for people from all over to send them pictures.
Maybe there's a cow floating around in the atmosphere and they're milking it.
Well, that could be. I hadn't thought about that. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
I
just solved it.
Yeah, you did. You are so good.
I know.
All right, now President Barack Obama wants to create another government agency dedicated to keeping the nation's food safe. Now again, we have been talking about this for years because bit by bit they're taking away your food sources. You know, that this is tainted and that's tainted and the wild food is tainted and on and on. So now they're going to get a new agency that is going to consolidate the Agriculture Department of Food Safety and Inspection, all of FDA food safety oversight into one new agency within the Department of Health and Human Services, which oversees the Centers for Disease and Control.
That doesn't sound too complicated.
Yeah, but the point being is you know, they're going to, I say, one day they're going to have, you know, you're going to get your food from pellets from the government. That's the way you get your food source, and this is just a way of...
That's what you give to me sometimes.
But you like those.
I know.
And then you fall on the floor, and then we do the other thing.
And then you tase me. I know, it's a whole thing.
It's kind of like a
circle. It's
circle.
a whole thing.
It's a circle.
Yeah.
All right, and now this one I want you to be sure and take interest in because, as you know, I've been doing blogs on health and healing and regeneration and all those things. Well, one of the Illuminati, Global Handlers programs is you're going to get old, you're going to die, you're worthless, blah, blah, blah. You know, at 50 you get the ARP things sent to you saying, you know, with the old people with the cane, plan your funeral. Well, this one talks about if you're over 50 and looking for a job, it's easy to assume that companies prefer younger people. But that's a mistake because you have strengths and experiences and qualities that many employers want. You just have to know how to put that forward. Now, this is what I found fascinating. It says the percentage of workers who are 55 or older is projected to grow by 29% up until the year 2022. While the percentage of workers from 25 to 55 will only expand by 2%, meaning that there will not be enough younger workers to fulfill all the positions that are going to be available. So if you are, quote unquote, an older person and you're looking for a job, do not think that age prevents you from finding what it is that you need. If you want a job, you're going to find one or create one. I don't care what age you are and I don't care what skill level you are. So my point being is now they're telling you they're particularly looking for people in manufacturing skills, science, technology, engineering, and math.
What about hyperspace?
That, well, you know, we set the bar for that. What can we say?
No, because if like you ever fired me, I need to know
Oh, that you can find a job? Well, it depends. I know I might, what do they do? They blackball people. So if I have to fire you,
I will not give you as a reference.
I'll probably blackball you.
No.
So I would suggest that you stay home and do what you're supposed to do. Now, how about Tanzania's albinos?
How about them?
Because I found all this very interesting because they are being hunted down and sold like animals, even by their own families, for up to 50,000 English pounds. Right? So they said that they believe that their body parts bring good luck. Now, there are a couple things in here I find interesting. I want your opinion on this. First of all, they say it's that albinism is a hereditary genetic condition that causes a total absence of pigmentation in the skin, hair, and eyes. It affects one Tanzanian in 1,400. Now, they're saying this is a result of inbreeding in remote and rural communities. Do you agree with that?
No.
What do you think it's from?
Because it happens with white people as well.
Yes.
In fact, it happens everywhere. And I think it is a recessive gene from the Lyrian ancestry. Okay.
Now in the West it says it affects just one person in 20,000. Now this is what I find interesting because now Tanzania is a poor nation. However, people, who are these people, are willing to pay as much as $3,000 or $4,000 for a limb or as much as $75,000 for a full set or a whole body.
Listen to me. Nobody in Tanzania has that kind of money.
That's right.
So that's coming from elsewhere.
That's exactly right. And it gets more interesting, believe it or not. It says that sometimes not only do they take the limb, most of the time, and even their husbands are selling their wives' limbs, they're selling their children. It's incredible what's happening. And I think, first of all, that the number is too low from what I've seen. I think there must be more than 1 in 1,400. I think it's more than that from what I've seen in the reports. It says sometimes the victims are beheaded, their genitals are cut off, they take ears, bits of skin, tongues are cut out, eyes and hearts are gouged out. And then sometimes they believe if they rape them that they can be healed, that they're, healing purposes. But now, listen to this. This is where you are going to tell us exactly what's happening. Yes, it says, possibly most shocking, some believe the louder the screams while the limb is removed, the more potent the charm. Now, what does that remind you of?
The adrenochrome from the pineal gland at trauma.
That's right, and that's exactly what we have been reporting on, that the global handlers do at the point of death, and that exactly happened in the Montauk Project, didn't it?
Yes, and elsewhere.
Yes. And again, people are saying that Tanzania is the 25th poorest in the world. The only people with that kind of cash are politicians or wealthy businessmen. And they're saying that a couple of times the witch doctors and the hired killers have been persecuted, but never has a customer been named. Even when under threat of death, they will not name their customer, because they know they're going to die anyway if they name their customer. So my point is I truly believe that this is exactly what you said, that they're coming from another genetic strain that has nothing to do with African genetics.
It's probably Asian, or maybe Chinese. I said there are a lot of Chinese in Africa, business people and military, and they believe in those kind of things.
Absolutely. Well, and we know about frequency. So there's a lot of things, and it could be going into, white Europe in the higher echelons. We don't know. But anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Sad, but interesting, obviously. Then, did you know that they found a mummified monk in Mongolia?
Oh yes, I heard about that.
Who they claim is not dead.
He's still alive.
And they said that apparently they found him after a man was hoping to sell him on the black market, and the man was found buried in cattle skins under deep snow in Mongolia. And he's being guarded now at the National Center of Forensic Expertise, and that's all they say. We probably never hear about it again.
No, it's like what they found, those Inca children in the mountains in Peru, and then when they started moving them, they started their ears bleeding.
Yes.
And that they were actually still alive after 500 years.
Yeah, and there are pictures on this, so go to the link and look it up and see what you think. Then this is, I noticed there are a lot of these kind of stories. There was a boy, 5 years old, who claimed that he remembers his past life as a Chicago woman who died in a house fire.
A black woman.
Yeah, and this is a white baby. But anyway, the mother traced it and was able to trace the story. But I have found a lot of these kind of stories being written about now. Even there's some channel, I think it's called, or a website called like Mommy and Me or something. There are like 2 dozen stories of these kids that are telling their parents, oh, in my last life, I was the mommy and you were the daughter. Remember they killed everybody in the village, chop, 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 they chopped off our heads. These kind of stories are popping up every day. Stories of the afterlife are popping up every day. And to me,
part of New World religion.
Yes, because they want you to be connected to the astral and to know about all these things and to have it be common. All right, now the moon apparently is going to be open for business soon. Oh, good. Because there are claims that the United Nations Outer Space Treaty is outdated. So apparently the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, is going to allow mining on the moon.
They're going to have a surprise.
Yeah. Well, who knows? That might be the cover for what they're really going to do. But anyway, that's what they're telling. And then, of course, we all know about the Mars One project, which you and I have reported on several times, where they're going to put humans on the Mars planet, in the next, what they say, 10 years.
20 or something like that.
Yeah. So anyway, they said 200,000 people have applied. The pool shrunk down to 600. 40 people are going to be selected. Then they're going to train for 10 years. Then groups of 4 will depart every 2 years on a one-way trip to Mars. Well, now there's a woman who is wanting to be the first woman to give birth on Mars.
Oh, yeah?
Because she said they're going to have to be repopulating once they get there.
Except that there's already people there.
Well, this is the story they're putting out. And then did you hear that now 3-parent babies are going to be allowed in the UK?
Yeah.
And that apparently the Prime Minister backs the law to support babies.
Well, of course he does.
Yeah. So now why do you think they would allow DNA from 3 people?
Because then you don't have a normal family situation.
Yeah, because critics say it's going to be toward designer babies, which I agree with. And down in Venezuela, speaking of baby, that's what I hear. Your mother did not have a birth canal.
No, she didn't.
So anyway, that's a lot of weird things with you, that's for sure. Down in Venezuela, speaking of babies, do you know that now a 36-pack of condoms from the government is now going to cost $755 US?
And that's why they have a lot of children.
That's right. And abortion is illegal down there, and they have high rates of HIV.
It's brilliant.
So, anyway.
What a great idea, Venezuela.
Yeah. And then Jennifer Lawrence, who was the 24-year-old from the Hunger Games, is now posing naked with a huge boa constrictor wrapped around her body.
She asked me to be in that, but you wouldn't let me.
No,
so she had to use a boa constrictor.
That's what she had to do. So, but the point is that we had Rihanna, I think, swimming with the sharks, and somebody else, there was a video that had the snake. And all this is, again, leading toward New World Religion. So keep that in mind. Now this is, of course, my favorite story. And of course, some people say
I can't imagine what it is.
Some people say I have a poop fetish. Maybe,
yeah, a
maybe
little
I
bit.
do. This one I thought was really good. Did you know that I can tell you how to make your living another way? So in case I do fire you.
Is it going to be a crappy job?
Yes, absolutely. There is a company called Open Biome. And believe it or not, they buy people's poop.
Of course.
Yeah. And so anyway, that's to treat, supposedly, to do these infusions for C. difficile infections.
Fecal transplants.
Yeah, fecal transplants. Apparently, that if you come in and you poop for them 5 times a week, they'll give you, well, it's $40, but if you can do it 5 times a week, they give you $50.
It's like a full-time job.
That's $250 a week or $13,000 a year.
Wow.
However, they said not everybody can poop on demand.
Oh, okay.
That is an issue for them.
Yeah.
So apparently you have to sign up, then they give you a questionnaire. Then you come back in another day and you poop for them.
Yeah.
And if your poop is good, then they take a look at your blood and then they make a decision. But get this, it says it's harder to become a donor than it is to get into MIT, according to their co-founder, Mark Smith, who says only 4% of the people who attempt to sell their poop actually get employed.
Why?
I don't know. I didn't ask. Anyway, but you do have to move to Medford, Massachusetts, because that's where the
Oh, no, I
lab
don't
is.
want to live there. No, you know what? It's shitty there.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah, I don't want to go there.
Okay, and then I did report, I think maybe I listed this on my Facebook page about the scarification, which is a new thing. We talked about self-abuse.
Oh, scar, yeah. Like what you do to me.
Yeah, well, yeah, but you like it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it has to do with people who like abuse, and so they now, instead of tattoos, and some of them are just really complex, but again, that's kind of an amazing thing.
Your people used to do that.
But not for beautification, it was for a reason. There's a whole reason for it. These people are just doing it because of everything else do, and they want to hurt themselves. And then along the same line, this one I thought, first of all, my first question to you is, what kind of doctor would do this? Apparently, now with those high stilettos that are going on for females, and maybe men too at this point,
yeah, that's right.
apparently it's very difficult on the pinky toe. So a lot of people are having the pinky toe removed.
Makes sense to me.
For $1,800 to have one toe removed.
Well, women have their ribs removed to where it gets more narrow waist.
Not anymore. They did in about the 1800s.
No, they've been doing that recently.
They do it now again?
Yeah, there was one woman in a pageant in Venezuela who had her ribs removed.
Anyway, the point being is, my feeling is, what kind of doctor would do this kind of surgery?
One who likes to get money from...
Well, for mutilating people.
Right.
And then they said you can also shorten your toes. That costs from $500 to $1,500 per toe.
ISIS would do that for free.
I'm sure they would.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just think that this is so bizarre, the way that society is going, that, you just...
You think?
I think. So anyway, that's my very fascinating news story.
Yeah, sure was. I really like the poop story.
Well, I know you like those
Yeah,
stories.
it's been a while since you've done one of those.
Yeah, but that was a good one. I couldn't pass it up. They actually measure
You
by
couldn't
the...
pass it up, but you passed it.
They weigh it, I guess, and then however
Okay,
many grams
I really don't want to know
that you
that.
put out is how many people they could actually help.
Oh,
So I don't know if they pay you more if it's bigger or smaller. I didn't get into the details, but you could research that if you want.
Maybe I'll get a part-time job doing that.
You could, but you have to go to Massachusetts.
I'll mail it.
Oh, they said you have to go
It's
there.
overnight.
They want it fresh. Anyway,
Okay.
so what do we got going on?
Well, you tell me. I wrote a list for you here.
Okay, we have to go backwards again?
Well, I don't like that.
You don't?
No.
You want to go from forward backwards? But then they're going to forget about the things that are happening.
They forget anyway, they forget.
No, okay, well anyway, we have webinars. We'll start first then. We have webinars. We have our fasting and detoxification, speaking of poop. That's going to be coming up soon, and a 3-day group fast for those of you who want to
And
explore.
I'm going to miss
I
that.
know you're very upset about that,
gee.
but you'll be here for the first part, just not the
Yeah.
second part. Then we have another webinar coming up
Uh-huh.
about the human-animal mind and how the global handlers use that to control you. We're talking about that. And then before that, you're going to be in Prague, making a movie. I know you want that said.
And I was asked also to sample and test the beer to make sure it's okay.
Yeah. You know
So
what I think of that too.
I'm going to be doing that.
Yeah, right. So, and that's, now you think you're a big wheel because of Montauk Chronicles.
You
movie,
know,
I guess.
I am hearing rumors of the Academy Award.
Well, you've heard that like for years. I think it's a voice in your head.
Well, at least that's positive.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Then you're going to be going on to Poland.
Wrocław.
Poland. For,
It's the third largest city in Poland.
I know, and I have to learn to say that because it's very complicated for my westernized mouth, I guess.
Well, because it's right because you were a hillbilly family.
Is that why?
Yeah.
And anyway, you're going to be doing a television show there and a seminar and personal consultations. Am I reading all your notes correctly?
You're doing very well.
Okay. Then you're going to be going on to Vienna for a seminar and personal consultations there. And I can't read that one. Oh, Taipei. Yeah, I'm not going to say the rest of that.
Why?
You say it.
You're so jealous
Of what?
that the Princess of Japan is coming to see me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then you're going to be
I think she wants me to be emperor.
in Bucks County, Pennsylvania for a Free Your Mind conference. If you put in at checkout when you buy your ticket a coupon code of expansions, you get a $20 off. Then we have our amazing healing spring conference called Addicted to Addictions. Get hooked on health instead. We're going to talk about a lot of things that you can be addicted to, including pain. So if you're thinking about getting your pinky toe removed, come to the conference first. It's cheaper.
Well, I was thinking of getting a carving of you on my back.
No.
No?
No.
For Valentine's Day.
No.
No.
Okay, and then what do we have? In August, we have our radionics seminar coming up, so watch for details on that. October, Hidden Histories and Hidden Mysteries, which will have Mary Sutherland, who is a paranormal author and researcher from Burlington, Wisconsin. We're going to spend some time with her this summer. We're reading her books. She's a great researcher. She's investigating pyramids in the Great Lakes. And of course, along with that, we will be having Dr. Samir Osmanagic coming to speak at our October conference. And of course, we'll be there with our latest information. And this will be culminating in 2016 summer, where we're going to be taking a spiritual tour up to the Bosnian pyramids and their sacred sites. So it was so much coming up. Amazing.
Maybe we could do some kind of poop collection there and sell it.
Go for it.
Yeah.
You're going to have to get it from there to Medford, or wherever it was, Massachusetts.
Call it like ancient poop collection or something like that.
Again, go for it. You can be in charge of that. Nothing.
All right.
You and your mankini.
Yes, or maybe just the shovel in front of me. We'll see.
Well, you can use a shovel to collect the ancient poop.
There you go. Perfect. Well, I'm very sorry, people, for
not.
Janet's
You're the one who encourages
stories.
it. You have.
I didn't tell you to get a poop story.
Yeah, but you wouldn't let it go. So, haha.
You're so funny.
I am.
You made quite an impact. Anyway, people, again, my apologies, and we will see you next time.
Bye.